Hi, I'm Angela from Growing in the Garden. Starting a garden can feel overwhelming, but it doesn't have to be. Today, I've got 8 steps to make it simple and help you be successful. Start with choosing the location. The first thing you're going to think about is sunlight. Ideally, the location receives 6 to 8 hours of sun. The best sunlight for a garden is morning sunlight. You also want to choose a location that has access to water. You're going to need to water that garden. And the last thing to think about is you want to make it convenient. You want it someplace that you can see and walk by often. The next thing to think about is the available space. How much space do you have? If you have a lot of space, raised beds or in-ground beds are an excellent option. Short on space? Think about adding a few containers. It's important to make a plan for the overall space so you know what you'd like to do, but don't feel like you have to do everything all at once. The best thing to do is start small. Start with 1 raised bed, 1 in-ground bed, add a couple of containers. You can always add more as your experience and knowledge grow. Now let's talk about soil. If you're gardening in the ground, the best thing to do is add organic matter, something like compost. That's going to enrich your soil. If you're gardening in raised beds, look for an organic raised bed mix. That will be the best thing to fill up those raised beds. Gardening in containers, look for an organic mixture formulated for containers. Regular garden soil is too heavy for containers. Next is the fun part, deciding what to plant. Here's a few things to keep in mind. The first, what can you plant in your area right now? Find a local planting guide so you make sure you're planting the right crops at the right time. Once you have your list of things you'd like to grow, learn a little bit about each one and whether they are best planted from seed or transplant. Now that you know what you'd like to plant, it's time to decide where you're going to plant them. Look at the available space and make a plan for where each crop grows. Here's a couple things to think about. How much space does each crop need? It's also important to plant a variety in each bed or container. I like to have a vegetable, herb, and flower in each of my raised beds. Try and mix things up so you have a variety growing in each space. The next step is to buy everything that you need. Buy the needed transplants, buy the seeds, and get them ready for planting day. And finally, plant your garden. Plant the seeds, plant the transplants, but remember to spend some time in your garden every day. Your time in the garden is what will help your garden be successful. Starting a garden may feel intimidating, but don't be afraid to get started. Head over to kellagarden.com. There are lots of additional resources to give you the information and tools you need.